Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. So with it being kind of the spooky holiday season, I thought I would talk about something a little spooky. And tonight's topic is going to be about talking to the dead, but I have a very specific angle on this that comes with some warnings and some cautions if you decide to do it. So in the general sense of the word, it's okay to talk to dead, like dead, invisible, ghosty people who you can't see. I mean, you can see them, but they're invisible. Anyway, those invisible people, I know that, and so I don't have a lot of dead people that come visit me, thank God. But one that comes fairly regular is my late husband, Wayne, and he will just show up and give me words of encouragement. And I find that very healing and very soothing. And so situations like that are cool. Or like the house that I live in now, there are two ghosts. The house that I lived in a few years ago, there was Tom that lived in the backyard, and they were just there and they didn't create any problems. The same thing has to do with doing like a ghost hunt, where you might interact with a spirit, you might talk to a spirit, there might be some kind of connection or contact with that dead, invisible person that is in the location. And, so having casual contact with a ghost is perfectly okay. And you hear me on this show where I say, I don't talk to dead people. And I intentionally don't talk to dead people. And it's not because I'm putting some warning on it, or I'm going to say this, or I'm afraid to talk to them, But for me to communicate with a dead person on your behalf in this venue, I would have to ask the dead person to come and sit in the chair next to me or come to me, and then they would be in my house. And I am kind of a scaredy cat, even though I don't have an issue being around ghosts, but you make a weird noise and it scares the crap out of me. So I just assume that all the dead, invisible people not come to my house. So that's why I have that rule. It's not because of something more insidious that might happen, which is what we're going to be talking about. So one of the ways that has gotten a very bad rap about communicating with the other side is the Ouija board. And I think you're all familiar with the Ouija board. It's a board that has letters and numbers on it. And you have the plantain, and you or a group of people put your fingers on the plantain and you ask a question and it will spell out the answer, so, and actually, I've played with a Ouija board and it is kind of weird how that thing just kind of moves of its own accord. And really, I've only had, I'm going to say, one experience, like one period of time where I interacted with a Ouija board. And it's when I was in college. I went to school at Oswego State in New York. And it turned out, of course, after I moved in and had a lease, and thank God roommates, that the house I moved into had been the town funeral parlor. Yay me. And you wonder why I don't want ghosts in my house, because I already been around them and they don't need to come here. Anyway, so it was about a week before school was out. And so myself and my roommate, who was pretty spiritual, and her boyfriend get this bright idea to get a Ouija board, and we borrowed one, and bring it in the house and communicate with this ghost, because we all knew we were all moving out. So it really didn't matter if we activated some activity. And we were very respectful, and the three of us would be on it, the planchette, and we would ask, can Val play? Yes. Can Patrick play? Yes. Can Rita play? No. And we did this on several different occasions. And every time they asked if I could play, the only thing that came up was no. So, I mean, finally, I just left one night and let them do what they were going to do. And they got a lot of information, but apparently it didn't like me. And I was okay with that because I already was creeped out by that house. And I was so glad I was moving out. But one of the things that can happen with using something like a Ouija board, or the other one that I'm going to cite also, is doing something like automatic writing. And I have another one, but I'll start with these two. Is that there are some people that utilize it to receive messages from the other side. And so they are asking this spirit to provide them with information. They'll ask a question, and a lot of times it's personal information. It's not, oh, are you a ghost, and what are you doing here? But it's more tied to them. And that's when it can become bad, and where the issues come up, because sometimes people can become dependent on the messages that they receive. And often the information will start out good, and you ask a question and it gives you this insightful piece of information, and it seems like it's so high vibrating and blah, 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 blah. But what I have found, and clients that I have worked with, become dependent on it. That's the best word I can use. But after a period of time, the messages change from being very high vibrating and loving and filled with light and really good to becoming something else much more dark. And when that happens, it's like you have opened the door for this spirit to attach to you. Now, one of the things that I found, and we've kind of talked about this on other shows, but in different ways, so when you go and you use a Ouija board to scope out some spirits in a house, it's like your energy's good, you're just there and you're in a high vibrating place. Your personal energy is in a high place. But the people that tend to use like a Ouija board or automatic writing to get insights will often do it when their energy is vibrating very low, and where they're kind of desperate, and they're looking to the spirit to give them some guidance and insight as to what's going on. And when you use tools like that, you might say, Archangel Michael, I want you to come to me. But it could be some, Fred the janitor. I love Fred the janitor. Fred the janitor that says, oh, yeah, I'm Archangel Michael. Or it could be like Michael the shoeshine boy. You don't know. You don't know. And if they're a negative spirit, you know what they're going to do? They're going to lie. Lie, 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 lie. And so, and again, when you do this, it opens the door for the spirit to attach to you. And you don't know who's showing up. You can make a lot of guesses and you can say, oh, it's Archangel Michael. But do you really know? I mean, if you're using a Ouija board, which means you probably don't have a lot of psychic abilities or don't trust your psychic abilities, do you really know? Okay, and so not meaning to diss this person at all, but there was a very well-known New Age author, Doreen Virtue. I mean, she was the angel lady, and I remember during the height of her thing that I would always put out cautions about her and her work. So Doreen would sit there and say, if there's something going on, if you're in a bad space, call in your angels, have them come around you and they'll help lift you up. But doing that is right up there with using the Ouija board or doing automatic writing, because if your energy is low, if your vibration is really low, yeah, what shows up might be a slightly higher vibration than where you are now, but they might not be the same vibration you are when you're in a good place. So she would tell people to do that. And I'm like, don't do it because you don't know what you're opening the door up to. And I think it's interesting because, and I don't know when she transitioned, but she went from being this very new agey, had cool angel cards, all this stuff, to being kind of a hardcore Christian and disavowing herself from all of this work. And I can only speculate that people ended up having attached entity issues, or maybe she ended up with an attached entity issue because she too was just opening herself up to a random spirit when her energy was low. So the key to all of this, it's not about the tools you use. It's not about what you're doing to connect with spirit. It is about where your energy is. If you're in a bad place, if you're looking for personal guidance, if you have this heavy desire and this attachment to, oh, you're going to give me the answers and insights that I need, then don't do it. Just don't do it, because it opens the door and it creates connections to something you just don't want. So that's my thing for this week. It's like using it for fun, using it for informational purposes, that's great. But using it to answer your personal insights and connect to a higher source, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, I'm like not muted, man. There's all kinds of comments here. Okay, so that's it for this week. And I think we have one more week before Halloween. So I'm going to have to come up with something else spooky to talk about next week. And if you would like more information about attached entities and that whole thing, there's my book, Dark Angels: An Insider's Guide to Ghost Spirits and Attached Entities. You can get it on my website, which is, wait, let me push the button, soulhealer.com. That's soulhealer.com. And the books all come autographed. I mean, it's available on Amazon. It's available like in a Kindle and those other formats if you want it in the ebook. It's really a fun book. And I tell tons of stories in it. So it's really good. Also, if you have stuff going on in your life, and instead of like communicating with spirits on a Ouija board, you can go to soulhealer.com and reach out to me and schedule a private consultation. I would love to work with you. Okay. So, and while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, or there's all of my information down below this screen, all of my social media, BitChute, Rumble, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Like, subscribe, sign up, give me thumbs up. I would love it if you did that. So if you're listening to this show on some channels or in a rerun and you would like to participate in the show, please go to my YouTube channel. This is the easiest one to access, and it's Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central. And click on the live button and it'll open up a chat window and you can come and participate. So if you are liking this programming, I would just really appreciate it if you'd like throw me a little something, something. And you can go to soulhealer.com/live, and there's a shopping cart with different amounts that you can put in. Or if you're a PayPal person, you can send it to Rita at soulhealer.com. Especially I do these free readings for you guys. And if you get a good, if the reading's good and it's valuable, I would just love to be validated that way. How's that? Anyway, all right. So I am going to change over and say hi to everybody. And as the requests for readings come up, I will take them one by one. And there's already 41 comments, and we're only like 15 minutes in. Yay, yay. Okay, let's see. I'm going up to the top.